Welcome back, friends, to Divine Feminine Radio, your weekly sanctuary for feminine wisdom in a masculine world. I'm your host, Rani Kala. I have been activating the Divine Feminine for 5 years. Here today with the beautiful Tamara Rose. She has been deconstructing patriarchy and activating the Divine Feminine for over 15 years. She's the founder of the Beyond Human Method, as well as my sister. Tamara, there is a very interesting energy I would love to dive into today. There is this one energy, this one shift, this one mindset that makes all the difference when you're creating or building anything, whether it's business, relationships, personal development, health and well-being, whatever it is. This one thing will determine your success wildly or have you struggle endlessly as you're building your thing. And most people have never really been taught what it is, let alone how to access it or tap into it. And Tamara, I feel like you have been an expert at this not only for 15 years, but really most of your life. And I think it's really interesting. So I would love to hear from you about this energy. First of all, what is this energy, Tamara? Please give us the deets. What would you call this energy?
Well, it's a good thing we chatted before this episode, so I knew the answer. Today
It's a
we're
good
talking.
thing.
It's a good thing. Today we're talking about going all in. What
Hmm.
is it? How to do it? How to know if you're not doing it? What results it produces? And so, like, literally everything that's happening. So you can look micro, you can look macro, you can look on a global scale, and you can look internally. Um, the ability to go fully all in on yourself, on your creations, on your relationships, on your business, on your health and well-being, on any endeavor that's happening, even as the world dissolves and we
Hmm.
rebuild. Also there, like everywhere you're looking, if you can go all in, that's what has catastrophic changes happen very quickly. So this is where people have velocity be present and like things take less time. This is where results happen that like are beyond what you could imagine, which is also awesome and amazing. And so literally the secret to my success, I think, has been the ability, like you're saying, to go all in. And you're like, I think you've had it all your life. And I'm like, I know I'm only 28.
Wink,
So
wink.
I have to like go back in time, those other 20 years. And see, like I was like, have I always been going on? And I have to kind of look. I can go back to college,
Hmm.
high school. Yeah. Like I can go back to those things.
Yeah. And would you say that the all in was present around like high school time?
I think so. I think so. And I think it was also like in third grade, they were like, choose an adjective that describes you with the same letter of your name. And I
Hmm.
chose tenacious, Tamara.
That does fit.
So, so I think that also, is there. I think it also showed up on our little endeavor we had this morning.
Oh,
Like, we're
yeah.
gonna make this fit. Get out of the way, lady. This is happening.
Trying to
She was
move
like, it's not
500 pounds of granite slab at 10:30 in the morning. So fun. We have such
happening.
fun adventures while I'm living with Tamara.
The fuck is my yeah, I have the mental. See, I'm always going all in. I have a mental there's a
Yeah.
mental
Well,
disturbance here.
the way that you describe all in is like an obsession, like being so
Yeah.
obsessed with whatever the thing is that you're
Mhm.
like it encompasses you. And so I think that particularly is something that you have had for like at least as long as I've known you, 18 years of my life. And when it comes to like being obsessed, like no matter what it is you do, you're obsessed with it, whether it's business, your relationship, your personal growth and development. Like that's one of the reasons you make such an amazing coach and founder is because of your obsession
Mhm.
with learning more and diving deeper. And like, what, like, would you say, how would you say like you go about that or when that started for you?
Okay, so so let's distinguish what all in is. Okay, so because I think what people want to do is they want the right formula, they want to get it right, and they want to do it right. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that, right? But I do have a focus on the end game or the end product or a vision of what that looks like, right? So Whether it's a remodel in the house or it's something with my kiddo, like homeschooling or online schooling. Whether it's health and well-being and healing my thyroid, going all in on healing my thyroid and having the end game be a healed thyroid. And then it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter kind of what there is in between. Or if it's like growing the company and having the Beyond Human method be known, or my methodology or the practices or whatever. And it's like, okay, well, it's not focused on the money and it's not focused on the transactions and it's not focused on little things. It's actually like my goals would be like 50 lives deeply changed for a year.
Mm-hmm.
So like I would go all in on that. And what it looks like in between, I don't get attached to. And I think that's the real key principle. So it can also be like becoming a successful entrepreneur. Do you have the vision of what it looks like and you're willing to dance and surrender to whatever shows up? And so there's a dance and a surrender to like, we're cleaning out the garage, case in point, like a real life example this morning, we're cleaning out the garage. And Ronnie is living behind Ronnie is my living room. And like you go, okay, so post all this stuff up. Somebody's gonna come pick up the gram. I'm like, cool, okay. And I'm in my PJs, it's 10:30, I think. And this lady shows up. I'm like, okay, we're throwing it in your car. That motherfucker is what, 300 pounds? Like how heavy was
A
that thing?
little sedan, a little Volkswagen sedan that we're trying to fit this giant slab of granite
And
countertop
I'm
kitchen
like,
granite
this
on.
this piece of shit getting out of my house. That's my end game. I'm cleaning out my garage. It's about to snow. We already had one snow. It's gonna be snow season real soon. And so it's like garage gotta get cleaned out now. And that's my end game. And so if it means like I'm gonna be in my PJs pushing this thing in a car, that's what I'm gonna do. So I just surrender. Doesn't matter how much time or how much energy or how much effort, like I'm just surrendered. And so, it's kind of like, okay, 50 lives deeply changed when I got the hit to like go on stage and do on stage live events. And I was like, I don't really want to. It's like, okay, fine, just surrender. Surrender
Mm-hmm.
and go all in because the end game is people's lives deeply changed. And I gotta get my ass out of the way for that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So whatever ego, whatever pattern, whatever that is like, gotta go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And when you say surrender, for all the people that checked out because you said surrender, like what do we really mean by that? My understanding of like
Yeah.
what I've been taught at the Beyond Human method is like when you say surrender, it's surrendering to the vision, surrendering to what you want,
Mhm.
surrendering to the actions that you know that there are to take even when
Yeah.
they're uncomfortable. It's not necessarily surrendering to like giving up your power in some way or surrendering to like some greater force or surrendering to someone else or someone else's desires. Like that's not what we're doing here. That's not what we're talking about. Like it's really about the greater vision that you have, what you're committed to, and surrendering to the vision, like from my understanding. Would you say that's
Yeah.
accurate?
Yeah, and it's really interesting because we've been talking about trust. I've been talking about trust and surrender for 15 years. I have a
Mm-hmm.
tattooed on my wrist, and it really it went from trust into surrender
Mm-hmm.
because there's like it's like a dual action of like trusting it's all going to work out, trusting you planted the seed, surrendering to the actions that need to be taken. So you're actually surrendering to yourself. You're
Mm-hmm.
surrendering to what you want. You're surrendering to your outcome. You're surrendering to your goal. You're surrendering to your path. You're surrendering to like the universe supporting you. And I think after noticing where my clients would get like kind of fucked up about the word surrender,
Mm-hmm.
what was showing up for other people is I have to surrender to Tamara. Like if we're in the
Mm.
you're in my program, I have to surrender to Tamara. And you're like, well, no, I don't actually, I don't care what you do. I don't care what your goal is. Like, I'm just here to guide you. You could like
Yeah.
fight or you could surrender to what you want. And I think that was it. It was like people are so used to like I always think of a like a pirate ship and like a white flag, and you have to
Yeah.
surrender to the pirates, and they're gonna come and overtake your ship. And I feel like maybe the word surrender is like that. And
Mm-hmm.
there's something really weird and egoic about like I have to give up something
Mm-hmm.
about me, right? Instead of I'm surrendering to something even better than I can imagine. And I'm surrendering to all the magic that I wanted. And I'm surrendering to that goal that I set for myself. And then I'm willing to take any action because I surrendered to the actual thing I want. And so I don't know if I've had that thing about surrender because I've been practicing trust even before my company. So like probably 20 years solid of my life has been focused on trust. And that's like trust the path and trust my intuition and trust my higher self and trust the universe has my back and trust my guides and trust what's in front of me is the next best step and trust that it's all working out. And so like that's really the surrender we're talking about. So that is an interesting place where us humans go sometimes. And when I
It's
say
so
us humans, I
interesting.
don't mean me.
Yeah. It's because it's like an internal fight that we create for ourselves. Like we
Mm-hmm.
have to surrender and then we're giving up and then whatever that means. But I
Ah,
actually have the definition of
oh
all
yeah.
in front of me because we love going back to Webster's dictionary and like what words actually mean. So we're all on the same page here.
Let's do it.
So all in
Mm-hmm.
means completely committed to or very much in favor of something.
Yes.
And committed, I'll get that definition too. Committed means feeling dedication and loyalty to a cause, activity, or job, wholeheartedly dedicated.
Yes. So, and I have a great example I want people to hear on this one.
Hmm.
So we were talking about this in one of our live events. I think it was the last live event we did in Florida, and that was probably what, like 3 years ago? Two?
2021, I want to say. 4 years
Four?
ago.
Great. 4 years ago was the last live event. And we had somebody there and we were talking about back doors. Okay. So when you're not all in, here's
I
what
know what you're going to say.
oh my God, I thought maybe I got that wrong. Backdoor. Okay. Let's not talk backdoor. Let's talk plan B. Wow.
Hmm.
Show me still plan B. Plan
No,
B.
you're saying the right thing. I remember the story that you're about to tell and it made me laugh. That's all.
I know, but all I can think of is all the sexual
Oh my
innuendos.
gosh.
Backdoors
I
and
didn't
plan
even
B.
go there.
I'm so there, okay? And I'm trying to find different words for the listeners, but that's all that's showing up right now is a bunch of such
Plan
sexual innuendos because I have a filter and I'm always listening for them and they're fucking there. Okay, so I
Oh my
apologize.
God.
Anyways.
We have a plan B for people who create a plan B. No backdoors, just plan Bs.
Oh my God.
Plan
Okay,
Cs and Ds.
Jesus. Okay. So, anywho, we were talking about this at the event and one of our participants, sweetest guy, worked with us for 3 years. But this was his first time coming to the event. And he
Before
was
working with us.
before working. Yeah. So it was the first time he was meeting me coming to the event. And he's like, well, I think I had planned, like I had a couple of different plan. What did he call it? Plan B. Now I'm getting
Plan
really
B.
my words. Okay.
He had a plan B.
He's like, I kind of had like other options and like plan Bs in getting here. And I was like, well, what are you talking about? And that event was right around when Southwest was having some flight issues. And they were canceling flights. And I think United had some issues. And he was going from Oklahoma City to Florida. And we were like, I think we were in Naples or something, something.
Marco Island.
Thank you. And so weird. It's so good you're here for the details. Okay.
I got him up here.
So Marco Island. And so he had booked a flight, but he was like, I am not going to miss this. And he ended up booking two tickets. So he booked one on Southwest, I think, and one on United. And he had two different tickets booked to get his ass from Oklahoma to Marco Island. And he's telling me this, and he's like, so I had like a plan A and then I had a plan B. Are you saying? And I was like, no, dude, you went all in. You were like, I'm getting my ass there no matter what. And I've got all these ways that I'm going to make sure that motherfucker happens. He's like, yeah, I wasn't going to miss it. And I was like, dude, you're our kind of people. And like, so then he had like the biggest breakthrough of his life there. And then he was like, I'm going all in. And he just kept doing it. And his life was totally different in the 3 years of working. Like, an amazing outcome to a divorce, a living on his own, a changing of the jobs, a closer relationship with his kiddos, like new ways of doing things. And anywho, I go back
Mhm.
because he thought he thought he was like another option. I'm like, no, you went all in on the thing. And
Yeah.
that going all in had all of his results expand exponentially. And so it's really having that a plan B or another option looks like, right? Our dad's been married and divorced 3 times. We don't know where he is or what he's doing now, but like married and divorced 3 times. And when he married your mom on the second one, he literally told me later, like we were kind of processing, and I was like, well, you knew it wasn't a fit. Why would you get married if you knew maybe it wasn't a good fit? Like they were spouting off dirty names at each other on their wedding night. You know, it was like terrible. And he's like,
Mhm.
well, I just figured if it didn't work out, I would just get a divorce. And
Mhm.
that is the antithesis of going all in. See, he wasn't going all in on getting married. He wasn't going all in on giving himself, and he wasn't going all in on the relationship and love and like a vision of something great. He was like, if this doesn't work out, I'll just get a divorce. Right. And so
Mhm.
that is like having another option or plan B or something. And that's not going all in. So for our listeners to kind of be able to listen, whatever you're dealing with right now, right? So if you're like dealing with a health issue, relationship, money, job, spirituality, growth, development, whatever, or you're looking at the planet, right? And you're looking at what's happening in the turbulence, go all in on the vision of it turning out better than you could imagine, of being amazing. And then you surrender to like what shows up on that path.
Mhm.
I made it through all the sexual innuendos.
Good job. I applaud you for it.
Holy turtles.
So, when I first heard that 4 years ago, like at
Yeah.
the event, I didn't really understand what you were saying, that it wasn't a plan B or it wasn't wasn't a backdoor, wasn't anything. I
Yeah.
was like, I didn't understand, but I get now, like looking back on it, it's
Yeah.
about what you're committed to and what you're all in on. So like let's say he was all in on like a plane, like getting
Mhm.
on a plane. Like if that was his like final destination, if you will.
Well, no, he was all in on getting his ass to Marco Island. That's what he was
I
all.
know.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
giving I'm giving a what if. I'm giving an alternative.
Sorry. Whoops.
So
I take it
if
back.
he
Don't listen to me. Rami's in charge. What the fuck?
if he if he was all in on just getting on a flight, like
Yes.
if that was his final destination and he got 2 or 3 flights, that would have been a backdoor. That would have been a plan B potentially. But because his final destination was Marco Island, just get there, like now he's creating 3 or 4 different, two alternatives for
Mhm.
him to actually get his ass there. So
Mhm.
because he's like all in committed on that, like he's creating multiple pathways to ensure that happens. Like that's why
Yeah.
he's all in, is because he's creating multiple pathways to ensure that happens.
Yes, 100%.
And that was, I think, the thing that I didn't hear before.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the party. Good job.
Thanks, I made it. Little late, but I made it.
Love it.
So I think also when we're talking about going all in on something, no matter what it is,
Mhm.
this goes back to the toxic framework and toxic limitations that we've been living in about like success meaning sacrifice. Like to
Mhm.
go all in on something means we have to sacrifice something else. If we go all in on our business, we have to sacrifice being in a good relationship. If we go all in on our relationship, then we have to sacrifice something else. And this whole paradigm of either or that we live in. But in
Mhm.
reality, all in doesn't mean that we have to sacrifice or that there's something we have to choose between. Like that's something very interesting that I think you teach that's different from something else that we may hear
Mhm.
outside. Like, can you
Mhm.
expand on that?
Well, I also think as we're discussing it, like new awarenesses are pinging for me as well, right? So I think
Mm-hmm.
also when you go all in, here's what I want to say. I don't think humans are really trained to go all in. I don't think that's like a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think we're trained to hedge our bets, have a backup plan. If it doesn't work out, then, right? And that is, if we're looking energetically, is like, I I can only do so much. I'm only in control of so much. My intention
Mm.
can only get me so far. And then it's like
Hands
Jesus
off.
at the wheel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So somebody else is gonna come in and do it, and then it's like it might work out. It might work
Mm-hmm.
out. Which is
And then if it doesn't work out, then we can't do anything about it. Like we're not in charge or we don't have the power or we can't control it, something like that.
And if you break down that psychologically, a lot of you don't go all in because then you have to deal with that it either went your way or didn't go your way. Like if you go
Mm-hmm.
all in and it goes your way, you have to deal with that you got what you wanted,
Mm-hmm.
that you're in charge. And then you'd have to deal with that you could have everything go your way and you're in charge of everything. Shit. And then you would have to deal with that you don't have no excuses, motherfuckers. You know what I mean? Like you would just
Mm-hmm.
have to keep dealing with the layers of bullshit and limitation that you've been peddling your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
So to go all in and have it actually work out in your favor and seeing how powerful you are, you would have to deal with so I could have been in charge that whole time. Yeah, you could have been. Now don't make yourself wrong. That's
Mm-hmm.
not what this is about. It's not about guilt and shame, like you could have had it, but it's like an awakening and an awareness. So the second you wake up and you're aware, wow, I could actually have things go on my way. Literally, from the weather to your health and well-being, money, relationships, and business, and in between, you can have it go all your way so long as you're willing to go all in.
Mm-hmm.
So, where were we? Because that was like a tangent that just popped. Like, you would have to deal with that, which is what people don't want to do.
Mm-hmm. So we were talking about the either or that we sometimes get into. Like either we can have the success in the business or the relationship or
Right.
this, but not all of it.
Right. So, then the other part of this, which is pinging as well, is what you learn by going all in, let's say on one thing. So we psychologically, again, in our head, in our brain, in our thought process, we stop ourselves from going all in because it means I can't have this thing over here. Nobody's saying that, by the way, you're creating your reality. So if you say that, then you're just creating that in your reality, and then you're perpetuating the reality that you're creating. So fine, but know that you're choosing it. I feel like we should like call these like a little, we should call this like a wake up chit chat session. You're gonna wake up today. I'm gonna give you some good stuff. You're gonna wake your ass up, okay? We're gonna have a
You
little
don't
tidbit.
need coffee. You just listen to us and we'll like smack you around a little bit
And then you're
energetically
gonna
and
be
be
like,
like, oh, okay.
then you're gonna be like, what the fuck was Tamara saying? Come back and listen to the podcast again. You're gonna get another dose of wake up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you're creating your reality and you're saying I can't go all in because it means that if I go in all in on my business, my relationship will suffer. So you never go in all in on your business, but maybe that's a season of your life you should be in. And if you go all in on your business and you have a relationship, maybe you learn to dance inside of your agreements, inside of your relationship, and you find new perspectives and new awarenesses and new partnerships and a new dance with your partner in your relationship that could happen. You also would find something new about going all in on something to where you probably weren't going all in on your relationship anyway. Like you have it, maybe you just haven't built the muscle. And the first place that you're going to build the muscle is in your business.
Mm.
So it's never about, I'm going to sacrifice over here to do this. If you have sacrifice or either or, well, that's a you problem. That's not a me problem. It doesn't exist. Okay. You just keep making it up. Stop making up problems. We don't have problems. You just make them up. Okay. They're just not real, but you keep perpetuating them because you think them, and now they feel really real. And if I fucked you up with that conversation, maybe we have another podcast they could link up and listen to. I didn't mean to fuck.
Well, I think there's a two-parter to this. So, like, yes, it's not real. Yes, you're making it up. Yes, you're creating a reality. And it goes back to the toxic framework that we've been living in and functioning from, right? So
Yes.
if we've been growing up in, let's say, an educational system where
Mhm.
you go to school 8 hours a day
Mhm.
and you learn how to follow what the teacher says and do what the teacher tells you to do, just follow the rules and sit down, then you're learning inside of this framework and the system of hierarchy where someone else tells you what to do and you just do what they say. And it creates really great worker bees. Like that's like what we've kind of curated as the capitalist society we live in. It's like really good worker bees. And then because of that, we forget how to trust ourselves, trust our intuition, go all in on something, build something else that build the thing that we want and that we desire. We forget our own desires and passions and things that we want because we're like following what everyone else tells us to do.
1000%. And it starts a little. So you guys want to look at
Mhm.
this. It starts really little. Like if I've got to get my kid out the door to get to school at a particular time, I need to, so she's not going to rest. She's not going to wake when she's done sleeping. I got to wake her up early. So I've interrupted her normal sleep pattern. Then we're going to make sure that she eats before she leaves, but that might interrupt her normal hunger pattern. Then she's going to sit in a classroom and sit still when maybe she needs to be outside running around. So we're going to interrupt that biorhythm. Then we're going to say, okay, well, now you need to eat, but you got 20, 30 minutes to eat. So now she's going to eat really fast. Maybe she's hungry, maybe she's not. Maybe she needs more food, but she doesn't know. It's going to interrupt all of those biorhythms, right? And then
Mhm.
it's like, okay, now you're going to take tests, but you got to give me your information of what you know on your own with your brain. But in reality, everything else that you do inside of like a company is going to be more collaborative. But we're taking all of those options off the table. So we've really interrupted all of the, like you're saying, the intuitiveness that humans have of the knowing of themselves. And we do it at a very early age.
Mhm.
And so we've interrupted it and then we just keep going. And we've now trained humans inside of school education, first thing that we do in the US, not everywhere else, but in the US specifically, to no longer listen to ourselves and to listen to, like you're saying, a teacher, a hierarchy, listen to the person that is in charge and they're going to
Mhm.
know better. And we stop then knowing that we actually know better.
Mhm.
It's a great example.
100%.
Yeah.
I appreciate you always taking what I say and then taking it one step further. Like I love that gift that you have, by the way. Um, so yeah, so if we are taught in this system, in this framework that we can't trust ourselves, we don't really know what we want, we forget how to like follow or even tune into our intuition, then of course we aren't going to know how to go all in or even what to go all in on when for all of our life we've just been functioning listening to what other people tell us to do or what other people say success is or what other people say we're supposed to be doing.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. And so the first step is like to know that you're the creator of your reality. Even the shit that you're creating, you're still creating, but like you have the power to change it. So that's cool.
Hmm.
And then say, okay, I'm the creator of my reality. I don't like this shit. I want to change it. And you go, okay, cool. Now, what do you want to change it to? And you can literally
Hmm.
choose anything you want, which can be scary too, because it's a lot of options. So then you choose anything you want, and then you go in on that thing. And I'm telling you, anything from the weather to money to your health and well being to physical reality to creating anything or a new purse.
I was gonna say the granite slab fiasco this morning. Like we had the lady come in a little Volkswagen sedan, and she wasn't much help. You and I had to be the ones to like haul it in, and then it didn't even fit. We had to take it out. Like it was a whole thing,
Mhm.
and I was like, okay. Like if that's not what we want to create for people picking up a free whatever, like what is it we want to create? And so like I sat like we both kind of talked about it and sat was like, okay, we're not gonna move shit anymore. If somebody's coming to pick up a free thing, we're hands off. You got to bring your
We
own help.
we have no muscles. That's our next creation. We don't have muscles. It's so weird. You gotta come with muscles, maybe two
Mm-hmm.
or three.
Or three. And so I had somebody respond this morning, like after the fiasco. I was like, hey, it's still available. He was like, I will come right now. I will come today, this afternoon. Can I do that? I was like, sure, I don't care. So
Yeah.
he brings three guys. It's him and two guys. So three guys total. They lift it no problem up into the truck like 5 minutes and they're out the door. I'm like, you guys, okay, that's great. That's exactly how I wanted that to go. That sounds like a way better idea than us trying to
And
struggle
now
with it.
Bonnie knows how to create better when getting rid of all the shit in the garage for me.
Yep, 100%. Gotta
How do I
direct
want this
that.
to go? You're going to know measurements. You're going to need lots of people, and I'm going to do nothing, and you're going to give me the money, or it's going for free, whatever the fuck. Get it out of my house.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
So that's what it looks like to be the creator of the reality. And when you don't like how it's going, you don't have to make yourself wrong for it. You can just be like, "Oh, okay. I didn't really like how that went. How do I do it differently next time?"
Well, and the wrongness is also stuck in the same patriarchal framework and the same toxic
Mhm.
framework. And I think that's really important for people to get. Like, shame and guilt, again, from a very young age, we've been trained and molded by shame and guilt. So you don't make changes unless you feel shame and guilt. And you really have to feel enough shame and guilt in order to make the change. So if you don't feel enough shame and guilt, if it's just a little bit, you might not change the thing. But the more that you do that, the more you'll change.
Raise your hand if you were ever like put in a corner for timeout, or if you were ever spanked as a kid, or your parents got the belt or the chancla out. Like, how many ways have shame and guilt been ingrained in us as a mechanism for us to change something as we're
Yeah.
kids?
What 1,000%. And this is like the generation we're talking to, right? And I think what's interesting is like we want to parent differently. Here's the interesting thing. Okay. I've been parenting now for 9 years. I wouldn't say I'm an expert in parenting. I would say I'm an expert in consciousness and creating my reality, which is different. Which makes me a pretty expert parent, but not because I'm an expert in parenting. So this is what I see ongoingly all the time. Whatever you learned that you don't like. So if we're like my parents, my dad had a wooden paddle. I think he went to paddle me once with it and I peed in the middle of the living room, like just wet myself in the whole, and he was like, I don't think the paddle's a good idea anymore. Cause like I don't think they wanted to keep cleaning the carpet. My mom would reach for the wooden spoon and I get spanked with the wooden spoon. Sometimes it was a hand. Um and I'm trying to think if there was anything else. But here's the deal. So if I was going to parent, I would say most people look at the surface of the action that's being taken and we say we're not going to do that, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
say I'm not going to paddle and I'm not going to spank, maybe, right? Or I'm not going to hit. So we don't do those things. But energetically, are we still shaming and guilting? Or are
Mm-hmm.
we not? Right? Like I also remember looking in the mirror. I think I was like in high school and I've always had a little pudge on my like right around my belly button. It's just kind of where it goes. It's like where the donuts hang out. It's a great little nest. My kid likes it, and my kitty likes it. And I remember like looking in the mirror and I was like, oh, I feel fat. And my mom was like, well, you should do sit-ups. Like I think she was providing the solution, but like the shame and guilt was already inherently there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think like even if you're not, let's say, spanking, is there still the shame and or guilt and or the psychological energetic thing in the mix? Because all you did was, as you said, I'm not going to do that physical thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have we deconstructed the shame and guilt enough so that we can then maybe alter actions based on a positive framework versus any sort of shame and guilt in the mix as well.
Mm-hmm. 100%. And it's interesting when you say that about your mom. Like, for those of you who don't know, Tamara and I are sisters. We share the same dad, but not the same moms. So we had completely different experiences growing up. So it's interesting when you say that about your mom. Like, I don't remember my mom ever saying anything explicitly about my body per se, but I do remember like watching her like do diets or like do
Mhm.
wraps or like do different things to try to change her body because she felt a certain way.
Mhm.
And internally, I saw that and I was like, oh, that means I should do something like that, or I
Mhm.
should not like my body. Like unconsciously there was something there. And so like
Mhm.
I remember in high school like having insane like body dysmorphia or like trying to change me or like trying to like change what I was eating so like even if the actions are not there at all, like there are still, if there's like shame and guilt in the field just by like visually watching that, that's a possibility too
Well,
that I
not to
wanted to bring to the
mention, you
forefront.
and I know that 90% of our energy comes from our mother. So here you are
Mm-hmm.
watching your mother and how she does things, and you're internalizing that's how you should do things. I think a lot of times what we're looking for is, and it's wild how like these things would come to me, but like, we're looking at how do I be human? And
Mm-hmm.
you're looking to like, you're an energetic, conscious being having this human experience, and you're kind of like, or you could say you're an alien and having a human experience. So you're like, how do I be human?
Mm-hmm.
And so with Cece, when she was really young, I would be like, she wouldn't use utensils. It was disgusting. She would just be like, "Meh." I mean, she still doesn't. You see her and
Yep,
now she
she
has
just takes a fistful of ramen.
the 9-year old redhead in her, and she just like looks at you while she does it. And you're like, don't push me, kiddo. You're pushing my
Mm-hmm.
bit right now because you cut it out. But like when she was younger, I would say, Cece, do you want to learn how to be a human? And she'd be like, yes. And I'd be like, great. Here's a fork. This is what humans and then I had to humans in the United States use forks because then I was like, I could
Mm-hmm.
use chopsticks if we were in Asia or something, like, okay,
It's true.
humans use forks. Please be human at the table with the food.
Yep.
That's
Oh
wild
gosh.
conversations.
How did we get here? So it's like with the how we're growing up, like where the shame and guilt comes from, how we're
Yeah.
perpetuating the shame and guilt. So when you're looking to shift or change the energy of like what your parents were teaching you, let's say, I believe
Yeah.
that's like where we were
Uh-huh.
going with this.
Yeah.
Like it's not just about the front of the hand, back of the hand, just taking out the action. Like
Mhm.
there's something fundamentally that needs to shift about the energy. Is that where you're really going with that?
Yeah. And we were also relating it to the go all in, right?
Yeah.
So, like, if you want to go all in, you have to trust and surrender to that. It can actually go your way. No
Mm-hmm.
shame, no guilt, no judgment on yourself, or that it hasn't happened yet. And I
Mm-hmm.
think what a lot of people do is they judge, well, it hasn't happened, period, instead of putting
Mm-hmm.
that yet at the end. And so if it hasn't happened, period, and that's the end of the sentence, then I need to judge myself and feel shame and guilt because I haven't produced the result.
Mm-hmm.
Then we turn that whole conversation into a failure conversation. I failed. Then you have more shame and guilt wrapped into the words I failed, right? And there's no you that failed. There was a result that didn't get produced yet. So you can throw yet back in there. And at the same time, I I couldn't tell you the last time I said I failed at something, unless I was being like dramatic or trying to prove a point or like something. But like, I don't see my life as I failed. I don't see anything as a failure. There are no failures. Like, that's again part of the toxic patriarchal framework. Because if you feel like you failed, you're going to feel shame and guilt. And that's going to motivate you to shift, move, and change in a new direction.
Mm-hmm.
It's not working anymore. Like, I don't know if any of those systems did work, but they definitely don't work anymore. And I think that's also like, as we increase our frequency and our vibration raises and the veil is removed and we're in the fifth dimension and we're like part of the evolution of humanity, guess what don't work no more? lower frequency manipulation tactics like that. And it is manipulation, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So, which game you gonna play in?
Yeah, 100%. So, for a little game we can play to determine if you're all in or not all in, or maybe the things that show up when you're not all in.
Mm-hmm.
We did this with our clients on a recent call, and I thought it was really fun. I'd love to do it on here if that's cool with you.
Did I do it with the clients or were you on the
Yeah,
with the
you
clients?
did.
Oh, you
You did
did?
it with them.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, let's do that. I totally forgot. It'll be like a brand
Yep.
new session. Let's hit it.
Yeah. So, so determine if you're all in by the first thing that shows up after we ask this question. This is how you'll know. So let's say in 5 years, you will be guaranteed to be making $3 million. $3 million is going to hit your bank account.
I remember this now. I didn't know where we
Yep.
were going. This is great. I'm so glad I did that before. This is good. Keep going, Ronnie.
It's a good thing I got a head
Hey,
on my head.
wowzer.
So let's say in 5 years, $3 million is going to hit your bank account. And it's going to be like every year you're going to be making $3 million, like
From that point
as a
forward.
given, 100% certainty
From that point forward.
from that point forward.
Uh-huh.
If in order to make that $3 million, in order for it to hit your bank account, you had to walk through the airport in heels, in stilettos, every time you were taking your trips. And let's say you're taking trips like 3, 4 times a year for
So
5 years.
like once a month. Yeah. You're
Once
like,
a month. Okay, cool. Like once a month. You're taking trips, you're wearing stilettos walking through the airport. Would you be willing to go all in wearing your stilettos through the airport so that you could make your $3 million a year in 5 years?
yeah, great question, huh? Like, at what point are you like, no, I opt out. I don't
Mm-hmm.
wanna. So you got to gauge your I don't wannas because the I don't wannas are the things that are getting in the way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the same
100%.
thing, yeah. So if you were like, no, I'm not gonna. If you're a dude and you're like, I'm not walking stilettos, fine. But I just guaranteed you 3 million every year for the rest of your life, starting at year 5. But you might have to
Mm-hmm.
do this for 5 years or the first 2 years, or maybe you make 1 million in like in 3 years, right? But like that's what you would have to do. And that might be embodying a particular energy, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's a good question. We have other questions though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, second one. So, let's say you were going to build a successful business. So, we'll say the same thing. Like in 5 years, it'll make $3 million a year every year.
Hmm.
Would you surrender to that the first year you would have to work 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, just for 1 year, for 365 days? Could you do that?
Great question. If you're like, no, I don't wanna, you got to check your I don't wannas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think I was probably I was at the I love business and I love creation though. And if your business
Mm-hmm.
doesn't feel like a creation, then something's off, frankly.
Mm-hmm.
Your business, if you're an entrepreneur, should feel like a creation, should feel like you're like, in a new relationship, getting to know each other, like learning like what ticks and what could I do. And so like if you don't have that obsession, there's something off in the business,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's your passion, your makeup, whatever. But like I remember being like, yeah, I'm all in on this. I love this shit. Let's do more. And then there was like 6 employees and 35 coaches. And it was like, I mean, it really became a no-brainer. Like there was a lot
Mm-hmm.
of moving parts all the time, so yeah, I think that's a great question. So if you're like, hell no, I'm not going to work that hard, you just want to check it. You want to check it. And here's the other thing. If you're like, well, money is not that important.
Mm-hmm.
Money is an energy. It's never about the money. It's about the opportunity. It's about the impact. It's about having resources. It's about making choices and decisions that are right for you, and you never have to look at the money or the bottom line. And so my kid is online schooling now, and I am so happy with my choice. if money was in the way and that was an issue and I had to go to a 9 to 5 and I couldn't do that, I wouldn't have that choice.
Mm-hmm.
And I make choices on how I want to spend my money, like upgrading my environment and having it be really clean and pristine. And my brain works so much more efficiently and my body is way more calm. And that's
Mm-hmm.
something money can't buy, but money gives me access to the resources in order to be able to provide that for myself.
Yeah.
Now, and if you are a shithead and you get more money, guess what? You become more of a shithead. If you are a kind soul and you get more money, guess what it does? It amplifies you as a kind soul and what you can do. So if you're sitting here and you're like, it shouldn't be about the money, you probably have a lot of privilege that some other people have. Because if I gave somebody 3 million for a year for the rest of their life, they're going to go all in on some of these things we're talking about. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
check your privilege, but also check where you get stopped inside of this
Mm-hmm.
conversation of just like, huh, what would it be like to have even more? What would that be
Yeah.
like? What would I choose? And like, how would that go? And like, and like if you were an infinite being and you came and you incarnate in this human experience, infinite being in a human experience, you can have infinite resources as well. Because infinite was your birthright. And some of us got real stuck in the human limitation.
Mm-hmm.
Just had to interject that there. Okay. We have one more
Thank
example.
you. I was gonna say if you get stopped at the money as well, like maybe it's more important about the impact or like the resources that you get to provide for other people or like what impact and who do you get to be when you have more money? Like what impact do you get to create for your community and for the collective and for the planet? Like maybe that's something that's important to you, but that really comes when you have access to more resources and more money.
1000%. 1000%. So, and I've told this story before, but like I was checking out one time and this lady was trying to finance beds for her kids and she couldn't get financed. And they were like, there was all this chaos going on. And I just checked out and was like, can I buy her beds? Like, I don't want this look like a single mom with a couple of little kids. And I was like, that's what she's dealing with today. And she was real stressed out. And it's like, I just want to buy the beds and move on and like let that lady have a nice gift for her kids. And like I could do that at that time. Or my
Yeah.
kid in like kindergarten, first grade, having her first pictures and me being like, oh my God, like there's like a huge economic gap because I live in the mountains and I'm in a mountain town. And I was like, I want all the kids to have photos. We shouldn't have kids like opting out just because the photos were fucking expensive. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I don't want kids to be like, I'm not dressing up today. I'm not getting my photo. Because it was always the most fun for me and it's the most fun for my kid. And I was like, you know what? Everybody in the school who wasn't going to pay for photos, I'm paying for everybody's photos that didn't opt in.
Mm-hmm.
And I created a problem for the school. They
They
were
were
like,
like, how do we do that? I don't know what to do.
oh, okay. Create more problems.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like when you have the resources, you get to do shit like that, and like what
Mm-hmm.
is the expression for you and like what does that look like? So, that's what money provides. And 3 million a year is not even part of the 1%. So you guys don't even have to worry about like, oh, the 1%. It's not even.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even. So
Yeah.
sorry, keep going. Do we have another example though? I feel like we have another example. Did we? Of going all in?
Um, I thought of one. Yeah. So like if you were, let's say, building a business and let's say you were really interested in like a product-based business,
Mm-hmm.
would you be willing, how many different things would you be willing to learn for that business? So we'll give the same example. In 5 years, you're guaranteed to make $3 million a year, but for 5 years, you've got to learn all the systems and structures in order to be successful in your business because you got to run a lot of different hats when you're an entrepreneur. So, would you be willing to learn sales? Would you be willing to learn marketing? Would
Yeah.
you be willing to learn enrollment conversations with people? Would
Yeah.
you be willing to learn how to build a website? Like all these different aspects that go into building a business. I say this because we work with a lot of entrepreneurs. If you're listening, you may have a business or want to build a business. So, would you be willing to learn all these different aspects if in 5 years you were guaranteed to make $3 million a year?
Yeah, and here's the interesting thing. So if you're an entrepreneur, self-starter, like you're saying, right? So everybody has different interests. So some people are going to be like, "Oh no, I'm a 9 to 5er. Oh no, I'm a C-suite executive. Oh no, I am a business owner, but," right?
Mm-hmm.
Some people are afforded the opportunity to have maybe a team of people where they're building something together. Okay. The people who have a team of people building something together, ideally you want to come up with everybody's strengths. So,
Mm-hmm.
what is the strength of this person? What is their soul path? How are they contributing? What is my soul path? How am I contributing? Like, what are all the roles inside of the thing that we're building? And that's usually a corporation, okay? Because you're going to have a team of people inside of the corporation. If you are a solopreneur, an LLCer, like it's you and you have this great idea and it's coming to fruition, I'm going to tell you the truth that I've noticed that may not be a truth. So you get to choose in your own reality. But it is one of the skill sets of an entrepreneur who's a solopreneur, let's say, to learn all of the different roles within the business such that you're the go to person for those roles until the business has hit a particular success level. Until that business has made a particular amount of money, you're confident, and you've taken, and here's what I want to say, you have to have taken something to market that people are buying consistently. And if you
Mm-hmm.
haven't taken it to market, then you don't know if it's a viable resource that people are going to buy, or you'd have to tweak, mold, shift, and change. My point is if you're the kind of person, and I've had this person in courses before, and they go, "I just don't want to do website stuff, so I'm going to have somebody else do it."
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. But if people are buying through your website and the site goes down, let's say you just did a big, like, fucking Black Friday sale, and the site goes down on Black Friday, but you can't get a hold of the person who's going to fix it until Monday or Tuesday because they're on vacation, it's Black Friday, you just got fucked. And it was because you didn't know how to run that website. You didn't
Mm-hmm.
know how to shift it. You don't know how to move it. You didn't know how to fix it. You didn't know how to tweak it. Okay. And you're now relying on somebody else. So you've just outsourced your cute, like, so it doesn't matter what it is for me. I would rather know how something works because it's actually more efficient that I can just jump in and do it. And it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter if it's my house, my car, like I gave up. I don't know a lot of shit about my car. I don't want to know that. I just buy cars that don't break. A house is a little bit like I'm gonna figure that out. And it's more
Mm-hmm.
efficient in my house because getting somebody to come out to a mountain home is a lot different than anything else. And it's the same within my company, it's the same within my business. And so I have been the one who knows the things as a solopreneur for so long that I know I can rely on myself. I'm always there, I'm committed, and I'm all in. So if you're like, "Well, I just don't want to learn websites and I don't like websites," you may not have to learn it. You could have AI in control, or you could like find it, you could opt another way. But the second you take your awareness off of it, it seems like it can become a liability real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's
100%.
so yeah. When you're starting out, what are the things that you're like, "But I don't want to do that."
Mm-hmm. And I think it's not that, like, I feel like we get stuck with doing something for forever. So if you're one of those people and you heard that, you got to wear high heels through the airport for 5 years and you thought, I have to do that for the rest of my life, or I have to do that for whatever, like those are the things that also get in the way of going all in on something. And so when we're saying like, oh, like learning how to build a website. We're not saying you have to be the one to manage it and do it for forever, but
Yeah.
having the expertise so that you're not relying on somebody else all the time if something were to go down, if something were to happen. Like you
Yep.
have that expertise now. You have that as a leverage point, if you will. And you can always hire out somebody. You can have somebody take over, but it's having so you're not like shit out of luck if something happens, right?
Yeah. If something pops off or goes down, like what's your fix point? How are you going to
Yeah.
rectify it?
Yeah. So there's I know we don't have many minutes left, but there was one more question I wanted to ask you. I know we've been talking a lot about business instead of going all in, and there's something really interesting that you do in your relationships when you go all in. Because the way that I've seen it as from an outside perspective is it's not going all in on a person necessarily, but it's going all in on the vision. And
Yeah.
for every person that you are with inside the dating realm, like you go all in on them. And I'm curious like what that means for you or what that looks like for you, going all in on someone or on a relationship.
Um, so the best way that I could describe it is what is your so for those of you who are single, maybe you're in a relationship. What is the vision? And it would be the same as a business, right? What's the vision of the relationship 10, 20 years down the road? Okay. And so for me, if it's like husband, wife, so wifey, husband, like somebody wants to be my husband, right? I'm like, okay, well, if you want to be my husband, that's what husbands do. And I'm like, we can date and I'm going to go all in and I'm going to do all the things that a wife does, but my wife skill set.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Not
not,
like trad wife stuff.
no, no, no. Um, and so if the vision is my significant another, my significant other and my partner, and I travel a lot. And we visit, like maybe it's once a quarter. We're visiting like exotic places and we have date nights once a week. And maybe we do home projects and we have investments and things. I'm going to start talking about that stuff. I'm not doing investments right now until we know like things are solid. But I'm going to talk about those things. I want to see the energy be there. I'm already going to have my energy there for planning. If I want a strong lead in the relationship, I'm going to show them my expectation of a strong lead in a relationship. If I want to be like, have my princess soft life, I'm going to do that right now. I'm not giving that up to get somewhere. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to do that right now, right? If I like relationships, I like projects. I like doing house stuff. So like we're going to do that and I'm going to see how they did I poke the bear too many times? Did their head spin around? Are they like having a massive breakdown over there? Are they like super upset, Because
Mm-hmm.
that's what I want in the future. And so I know all these things that I want in the future. I'm not cooking. So I'm not cooking now because I'm not cooking later. That's like
Uh-huh.
that's not my thing. So I'm not doing these things to close the gap on what I want. I'm holding steady to like this is the vision. This is the role, like the role I want to have. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to do that and I'm going to ask and say what I want from you to hold that vision for us to be like in a symbiotic relationship and we're going to like see if it's a match.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit like what I ask, and I think this is a little weird, I think, for most people, because most people are like, well, I'm a girlfriend, or we're just dating. And then maybe if we like each other, we'll be girlfriend, boyfriend. And then maybe if that goes well for a long enough period, we could get married. And I think for men, right? I think
Mm-hmm.
most men just like monogamy. Like they're just like they don't date. They're like I mean my age group like the people I'm attracting anyway. Like I don't know. I don't want to
Yeah.
speak for everybody. So I think most of the time they can't like juggle too much, and they're like, you're really great. I'm in. And you're like, that's fine. But like, we want to look for compatibility. And so
Mm-hmm.
compatibility is like, this is the vision and this is the life. And is it a seamless match? Are you interested in providing in that way? And I provide in this way. And like, is that a match? And if it's not, it's okay. And like, keep having the conversation. And so I think for me, there's always a strong focus on like, if you want to be my husband, then my husband would do these things. So you have to choose like, is that what you want? Is that part of your skill set? Is that how you want to provide? And until I really feel and sense and have that structure, we might not even be boyfriend and girlfriend yet. Like
Mm-hmm.
I can have a full sense that there'd be like husband there for me to stop fully dating, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's like a dance and a balance like that. I don't know. Did I explain that well?
Yeah, I think you did. And what I'm hearing is you're more looking at the vision that you're creating together rather than the person. Like being all in on the person no matter what they do versus like being all in on the vision, and if that person's not the vision, then they're like kicked out,
Yeah,
essentially.
and I have a lot of grace and I have a lot of patience and I request and require, a certain level. Like I would say, like I'm a high value lady, like I'm working with the high value man. And so like, and I think a lot of men haven't, we're in this time where the patriarchy is falling,
Mm-hmm.
and when we look at how men have been taught to be in relationships, they haven't. And we look at how men have been taught to be men, they haven't. How
Mm-hmm.
men have been taught to provide, they haven't. How men have been taught to be fathers, they haven't. Again, so we have like a deficit. And so what I'm actually more interested in is not like, does somebody come to the table with all that skill set and they're like, you could get married today? I think I have more grace to be like, do you actually have the skill set to build those qualities within yourself?
Hmm.
And are you interested in building those qualities in yourself? And so while I could see everybody has amazing potential, that's fine. I don't want to go in on potential, but I do want to go in on like, do you have that skill set to build yourself in this way? And are you interested? And I think that carries a lot more because I think
Mm-hmm.
for me, that would have more long term success. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, Tamara, I appreciate you sharing all of your lovely insights, especially when it comes to all in energy. No matter where we're looking, whether it's relationships or business or health and well being, like this particular energy can be applied to any area of life. And I think that's what's so interesting about it. So check your I don't wannas, check your shame and guilt, check where you lie in the things that get in the way of your all in energy, and maybe where you can start going all in on something. Pick one area of life, pick one thing that you want to choose to go all in on, and see where it takes you. See how far you go because you're going all in on that thing. That would be my uh I don't want to say challenge. I don't want to put challenge in the field,
Recommendation.
but recommendation. Thank you. So maybe we'll expand on this conversation next week. If you have questions, as always, email Ronnie at thebeyondhumanmethod.com. We have lots of resources in the description. If you want to join our free 20-day meditation series, you can start getting more present, see where your consciousness lies and going all in on and where your choices are coming from. We also have our free online community. You're welcome to join us there. And if you have any questions or need support, we're always here as well.
And if you want to go all in on the next event, we have another event coming up. You could get your two plane tickets there too. See what I did there?
That's right. There you go. We have our event coming up in March of 2026. We have the location coming soon. We've narrowed it down to California, Sedona, or Florida. So it'll be one of those three. We're going to go all in on one of them.
That's right.
So that it
Once
doesn't.
I preview all of them, coming soon.
Once we preview. Coming soon to a theater near you.
There you
All
go.
right. Keep making magic, y'all.